Which archetypes you should be working with or are currently embodying or are about to be embodying. So go ahead and tune in. We have from the left to the right, pile 1 or a piece of black tourmaline, pile 2 or a copper wishbone, pile 3 or the dragon pyrite, pile 4 or the feather, and pile 5 or the seashell. So just take a moment, tune in, choose your pile, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with pile 1. Okay, those of you who chose pile 1 or the black tourmaline piece, let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 1, you guys have a lot of intense energy going on. I feel like if you chose this pile, your past has really shaped who you are. And that's coming through right now. I just wanted to put that out there. And your entire life path has really been shaped by a lot of tower moments and transformation. I also feel like you've had to work to overcome a lot of your base nature. And I wasn't going to talk about the past because this is really supposed to be about what type of archetypes you're supposed to be working with and or embodying. For some of these, it has more to do with what you used to embody and what you're transitioning out of. Others are sort of repeat things in your life. And then you have things that are about to happen or coming in, is kind of what I'm getting. And I do feel like there's a lot of different energies in this pile. This is one of 2 piles that had extra cards. I wanted to make sure that several cards were in each pile because I didn't want to have a separate pile for every one of the major arcanas in the tarot. So I felt drawn to choose several for each pile. For this one, wow, guys, wow. I want to say that a lot of you have a connection to the underworld. A lot of you, I don't know why I just got that some of you are about to start working on witchcraft. Specifically, I don't know why I'm getting like horn god energy, Baphomet. It is not just because of the devil image card. Some of you are going to be on the left-hand path, or you're going to start embodying more of those philosophies in your practice. Some of you might start working with the Qliphoth or the Goetia. Some of you might be getting into necromancy as well. I feel like there's some brujas and brujos in this pile as well, whether you're aware of that or not. That may be something that you're stepping into. That just came through. Root workers, magicians, sorcerers or sorceress. And honestly, the devil energy is coming through really strong. So I feel like the devil energy is actually what might be coming in the future. In the past, like this is the message I'm getting. In the past, it was it represented like more of your hedonism and more of the lower base natures that you really didn't have any kind of a hold over. But now you are really stepping in this place of power where your darkness is becoming your strong suit. It's not something that's like repressed into the shadow and is this unconscious pattern that's wreaking havoc in your life anymore for you, pile 1. And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but I definitely think that's for some people. Yeah, that's what's really popping out at me. And the Tower card. And I really feel like for those of you that chose this pile, the Tower card has really shaped your whole reality in this lifetime. And I feel like you're one of those people that whether you're okay with it or not, you've really felt quite a few Tower moments in your life that have really shaped you. You have this really good sense of justice. In fact, I don't know why, but I'm getting like I'm getting Capricorn energy, Scorpio, and Libra. I feel like a lot of you that chose this pile, those are like the 3 dominant energies coming through. So it could be in your big 3 or even your big 5 or prominent placements in your houses. That's coming through really strong. I just got, some of you might be path number 8. I don't know. It just came through for some reason. Oh, and then I'm seeing, yeah, it's weird. I'm seeing 8 everywhere, even though I'm not literally seeing the number 8. It's like 8 is popping out for some reason. On also the number 13. Some of you might be dealing with Santa Muerte. I just came through. I don't know why I was looking at La Muerte on here for the death card because this deck is in Spanish. And I've just felt like Santa Muerte coming through. Some of you might be Santa Muerte devotees, or you might be just working with this energy or about to work in this energy. Because I almost feel like she's walking into your life. Like even the way I place this card sideways on the top, it's almost like she's walking in. And I know that the archetype itself is a symbol of transformation and death and rebirth. So yes, that's very prevalent in your life, and that's coming in right now. And it's really honestly been with you. But this is the energy I feel like you should be working with. Death and rebirth and the devil. I feel like the tower has more so been like a theme in your life. And then we have the justice card and the sun. Now, one thing that's standing out to me, I want to start with the sun. I feel like you're very comfortable with your darkness. And oh, something else coming through. Some of you might be initiated and work with some of the Loa, the Gede, or dealing with, I'm getting Maman Brigitte and the Bawons. So it could be any of the Bawons, not just Bawon Sandi. It could be Bawon La Croix. It could be Bawon Cemetery. It could be any of the Bawons. And so I don't want to like overlook that, because that was also popping up. So there's definitely a lot of energies here. But I feel like a lot of you are getting into the craft of getting into like, you know, like I said, brujeria, root working, magic, left-hand path work. Some of you paganism, some of you might be dealing with some of like the horn gods or goddesses. So this is coming up really strong. Like I really feel like you guys are supposed to really get into the craft in this lifetime. Don't feel a victim of these archetypes. These archetypes are there to empower you. I felt like that message needed to be said for somebody. Okay, so with the sun, this is what you're supposed to be learning, that these archetypes, these archetypal energies or influences in your life in the center, the three in the center, are really what brings about the happiness and joy of that solar energy. And I want to say that it's really important for you, like you need to be in balance or in harmony with your dark and light side. And when I'm saying dark and light side, you guys know, anyone who's listened to me or watched my, old and this current new channel, you guys should know by now I don't subscribe to the idea of dark being evil and light being good. But I am using the dark and light to describe polarities of consciousness. So for you, pile one, it's really important for you guys to be balanced. I'm also getting Gemini energy coming through in Pisces, but I do feel it's more Libra, Scorpio, and Capricorn. Like that's what's really coming through, because there's this need. You are supposed to learn balance. You're supposed to learn how, like, when to unleash your quote unquote darker nature and use it to kind of empower you and prop you up, and when to let your light shine. And also in your practice, you are supposed to be really embodying the balance between both polarities of creation and destruction, and not going too much one side or the other. So you're not somebody that's supposed to be all light or all dark, so to speak. Again, using these terms metaphorically, okay? You're supposed to be somebody who embodies both. The devil card for you used to represent you being led by your lower nature, or you running from your lower nature, depending on, who this is for, because again, this is a general reading. But now it's more of you, taking control of that part of yourself. Like you are, learning to master all areas of yourself and empower yourself with this, not fear it, not repress it, and not let it control you. So this is where the justice comes in. So you want to make sure that you're doing things above board in that sense, and that you are addressing things with balance. And then if things are out of balance, that's when that, and if you don't correct it and address it, that's when that tower moment's going to come, or the death moment. But yeah, happiness for you definitely comes with that balance. These are the archetypal energies, not only that you should be working with and understanding. Like, it's like, I feel like they influence you at such a deep level that you need to really understand at what point they influence you. I really encourage you to look at where your Saturn and Mars is and what houses they're in. Also pay attention if you have Libra in your chart. if you have Scorpio, if you have Capricorn in your chart, pay attention to where those are as well. So that's what I have for you guys. I just want to say, you know, make sure that you are acknowledging these archetypal energies in your life, past, present, and future. This is really coming from the depths of your soul and who you are and the influences you have in this incarnation on your path. So don't be afraid of it. Embrace it, learn to master it. That's what I'm getting. And learn when to roll with it too. So that's what I have for you, pile one. I hope this resonates. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If you'd like to book a private reading, definitely hit me up on my website for that. When you guys subscribe to the newsletter, not only do you guys get updated on up and coming things, but you also get coupons. So definitely do that before you book on my website. You can definitely check out Patreon if you're not already on it. I will be uploading this video for patrons first, but then I will be uploading it to YouTube. So if you are interested in any of the tiers of Patreon, so you can learn how to do things like, you know, cosmically activate, work on your shadow healing, protections, magic, things of that nature, definitely check out Patreon as well. Thank you for tuning in, pile one. I'm now moving on to pile two. Okay, those of you who chose pile two or the wishbone, let's get into your reading. Pile two, this is your reading. Wow, you guys are about to embark on a journey, aren't you? So, and what I mean by journey, I don't mean literal. I mean, unless that's also the case. A lot of really positive vibes coming through here. This is a very hopeful energy. What I'm really getting that's interesting, there's like, okay, I feel like your entire life, you really have embodied the Fool archetype. The way that the cards were placed down and the way that they came out, it's like the Fool is like sort of saturating all of the other archetypes. So I feel like you really resemble sort of it's not really the eternal child, but then again, it kind of is. I'm definitely getting that. I'm getting Sagittarius energy coming through. I'm getting Gemini and Aquarius energy. I'm getting Aries energy, a little bit of Virgo, but not much. So some of you might have any of the zodiac signs in your big five or even your big three or major influences in your houses. But I feel like it's mostly Sagittarius, Gemini, and Aquarius, if I'm going to be honest. And the reason I say that is there's almost this motion, this optimism, this hopefulness that really directs your entire path. And then when I'm looking at the star card here, it's like you really operate out of the sense of hopefulness, and I am going to leap, not look while I leap, knowing that if I take that necessary leap, if I take that calculated risk, like I feel like maybe when you were younger, you were maybe really restless and impulsive, and I hesitate to say the word childish or immature, and that may not be for all of you, but that's sort of the shadow side of that energy, right? Playing the fool, being a class clown, not really using your head when you do just kind of dancing through life, so to speak. It's really this really wonderful optimism that really directs your path. And you actually, more often than not, land on your feet or have landed on your feet for the most part. I just got an image of somebody that likes to climb mountains, and some of you may be like extreme sport enthusiasts because there's almost this fearlessness. And this to me is like the Aries energy. There's like this fearlessness in a way, and this curiosity and childlike wonder, but also this ambition to kind of, you know, not really conquer the world, but just dive into it, explore it. I feel like this is more, like I said, this has more been what has guided your entire life. You are starting to see your dreams come true little by little. But in order for you to achieve the world, which is the archetype that you really want, you have to learn how to develop the Hierophant and more of the Hermit energy. So for most of you, I feel like that's not something you do naturally. I feel like most of you are more social, If you're not extroverted, you're just somebody that likes to stay busy and takes on a lot of projects, has a lot of goals. I'm seeing like every single one of those pictures, there's something in the hands of all of these, you know, archetypes. You know, you have the Fool holding just everything he owns in that little knapsack. And then with the Star card, you know, she's pouring the water. With the Hierophant, he's holding the scepter. With, you know, the World, she's holding the wands. With the Hermit, he's holding the lamp and the staff. So there's like this, I feel like you've got your hands on a lot of projects. You've got your hands in a lot of cookie jars. You're very busy. You're definitely, no one could accuse you of being sedentary or lazy. But what you have to work on is more of that quiet discipline, more of that order, because you've already got for most of you, now it could be the absolute opposite for very few of you. It could be that some of you, it's the total opposite, where maybe you are overly rigid and overly structured and you actually need to embrace more of that Fool archetype. Maybe you've been repressing that into the shadow, but I don't think that's the case for like 99% of you. I really feel like for 99% of you, this is more the archetypal energy that you had your whole life. The Star card and the Fool card, and that you want the World card, which is why it's there, because you are an ambitious person. You do have a lot of big dreams and you do stay busy. You're not somebody, I feel, that just sits around and dreams and does nothing. Maybe when you were younger, you know, you made a lot of kind of stupid decisions or whatever, as we tend to do when we're young, but I don't feel like that's the case now. But I do feel like there's still this need to really develop discipline and structure spiritually, especially because I feel like you might be one of those people that's more lackadaisical, more la-di-da when it comes to spirituality, or maybe even surface, I hesitate to say, and I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but that's kind of what's coming through. And so if that's the case, embracing the archetype of the Hierophant and the Hermit will really help you become, like, develop that depth in your spiritual path, really get to know yourself at that deep level, and you'll also be able to recharge and refocus your energy. So there is this need to learn how to go within and also to adopt more structure. Maybe some of you have problems structuring your life, organizing things, managing your time. And so I feel like really that's the last thing that you really need to learn and develop. And these are these are the major arcana energies. These are the archetypal energies that are going to come in right now in your life. In order for you to reach that World energy, that full completion, not just of your goals, but of your, soul purpose, the completion of what you're here to do. So I hope that this reading resonates with you, Pile 2. I want to also say that don't be surprised if you, I'm getting travel and I'm getting possible fame, but it's like eccentric fame. So it may not be huge and across the world fame, but it's this energy of you becoming famous for something that's maybe unusual, or you becoming famous or influential doing the things you love. So I want to put that out there as well. So I hope this resonates. Definitely take what resonates, leave the rest, as this is a general reading. If you would like to book a private reading with me, you may do so on my website. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter on my website so that you can receive any of the updated news on what's going on my channel, news services I'm offering, ebooks, etc. And also you will get a coupon for your first visit as well. And if you are interested in joining Patreon so you can learn how to do in-depth shadow work, activate your DNA, learn how to do protections, magic, things of that nature, definitely check out Patreon as well. I will be uploading this video for patrons first, but then I will be putting it on YouTube. So I wanted to put that out there for those of you who are not on Patreon. Thanks for tuning in, pile 2. Going on to pile 3. Okay, those of you who chose pile 3 or the Pyrite Dragon Head, let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 3. This is your spread. So this is lovely. I mean, wow. You guys are definitely manifestors. Whether you feel like it or not, whether you see yourself like that or not, that is the truth. Now, I feel like there might be some life path 1s showing up in here. I'm also getting 7 as well. If you're any of the master numbers, that's coming through. So if your life path number is any of the master numbers, I feel like that resonates as well. Wow, yeah. Also, some of you might be life path 3, but I'm getting more so 33 than I do 3 here. All right. You're on the right track. And I feel like these archetypes have kind of gone in and out of your life in cycles for most of you. So you probably, when you saw these cards laid out, you probably weren't surprised because you probably thought to yourself, oh, this is either something I'm trying to develop. I've been developing, or I already have developed in the past, and something I'm currently embodying and operating in. At the very least, this is a goal you have, specifically with the magician, because the magician is what's really standing out to me. Now, the Empress is kind of like, that's where you want to be. And in order to get there, you guys are going to have to learn how to use temperance. I feel like a lot of you are very passionate, very ambitious people. And I feel like you're generally pretty good at knowing when. I'm almost getting this image of you guys switching on and off from your masculine and feminine energy when it suits you. There's almost this androgynous energy, and you may appear androgynous physically, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that it's more so an energy thing. I feel like some of you might have a lot of Gemini energy. I feel like a lot of Sagittarian energy coming through. I'm also getting Taurus, and I'm getting Libra as well. Yeah. So these are the energies that are really coming through. So you guys may have some of those placements in either your big 5 or even big 3, or prominent placements in your houses. And I really feel that, yeah, the main message I'm getting here, things are going to turn in your favor. Okay, I feel like in maybe I'm getting 3 months to 3 years for some of you even, you've gone through a lot of either rapid cycling I'm of moods I'm getting for some of you, and for others it's like you have gone through a lot of ups and downs in your life and a lot of bouts of bad luck. It's almost like what I'm getting is this energy of, oh, things are going good, things are going great, and then fuck, like the rug is pulled out from under me, and it's almost like extremes of elation and despair. Like it's a real roller coaster ride. Like when you guys are up, you're up, and when you're down, you're down. And if this isn't an actual mood disorder that you have, which I'm not saying people that chose this pile did, I'm just saying there is a high probability, then it's definitely characteristic of what you've gone through in your life. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll manifest something, right? Either consciously or unconsciously. And it'll go really far and really hard. And then once it dissipates, it's like you'll fall back into whatever place you were at before. So what you're having problems with is really balancing and tempering that energy and learning how to do things more from a state of receptive alignment instead of that push, ride the wave and then crash, or like, that's kind of the energy I'm getting. Like there's a lot of up and down extremes. And so in order to get to the Empress, where you're just sitting back and receiving, you have to work in the temperance. You have to learn to temper yourself and your energy and align within. And I feel also, I want to say that if you do that, those ups and downs in life won't feel quite as extreme. Some of you, I don't know, this is like for really someone, I think really specific, or a few people really specific. Some of you need to start working with the medicine wheel. If you're from indigenous culture in America, that just came through. I don't know why, but it's just when I'm looking at this Wheel of Fortune, it just popped out at me. Another thing that popped out is the Nordic sigil of protection. I don't know what it's called, guys, because I don't practice any of the Nordic spirituality, but you know, the Nordic, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe I'll put it up in letters when I go to prepare this video before I upload it, but I'll have to look it up because I can't remember what it's called. But maybe you should work with that as well. Like maybe that would be good for you to use for protection. I'm also getting Egyptian deities coming through, maybe Babylonian too, Sumerian. Like maybe some of you work with those pantheons, or you should work with those pantheons, like they can help. I'm also seeing serpent too. Some of you might work with Lilith, or maybe you should. And this is all popping up just by looking at that fortune card. I really feel like you guys would benefit from working with goddess archetype energy for sure. That empress goddess energy for sure. Some of you would benefit from working with angels, or you started working with angels, like that's coming through as well. And you guys definitely need to keep practicing magic, or if you haven't practiced magic before, you can. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in the traditional sense or using tools. I mean, even just like some of you might just be really good at naturally, you know, like some of you might be into the laws of attraction, for example, or maybe you're into like the 48 laws of power, or maybe you're really focused on learning how to get, you know, to use alchemy to transform yourself and your surroundings. Some of you should get into alchemy. That's also coming through as well. So that could be energetically, or it could be also like traditional hermeticism that might help you do that as well. Some of you might want to consider working with the Roman god Mercury that came through for some of you, or Venus, or Venus. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely that Empress energy is what you want to embody, and it's really within you already. You just have to bring it out. And it's not done the way you think it should be done. It's done by learning to temper yourself and align yourself. Because, like I said, a lot of you guys will become frantic in manifesting, and then enjoying the fruits of that labor, and then feeling the crash afterward, like not being able to sustain what you're trying to create in your life. And so this has a lot to do with your internal world and you learning to temper your own energy, your own emotions, and also learning how to sit back and receive instead of just projecting out all the time. So that's what I have for you guys, pile 3. I hope this resonated with you. Take what resonates, leave the rest is a general reading. If you'd like a private reading, don't hesitate to book with me on my website. I really recommend joining the newsletter through my website, because if you do that, you get coupons for the services and you get updated on any new services, ebooks, courses, things of that nature that are about to come out. Also, definitely check out Patreon if you're not already on it, because I know that patrons are going to receive this reading first, but I will be uploading it to YouTube. So there may be some of you that are not on Patreon that might be interested. If you're looking to activate your DNA energetically from different realms, any kind of magic, shadow healing, protection work, things of that nature, definitely check out Patreon. So thank you, pile 3. I'm now moving on to pile 4. Okay, those of you who chose pile 4 or the feather, let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 4. Well, definitely a lot going on here. I'm seeing a lot of 2 coming through here with these archetypes, and I really feel like a lot of you might be a life path 2, a life path 4, or life path 6 is also coming through as well. And I'm getting 9 too, but mostly I'm getting 2 and 4. Another thing I want to mention is I do see Cancer Leo, Gemini, and Virgo coming through for zodiac energy. So you might have those placements in your big five or even your big three or your houses. I feel like your entire life has been marked with major choices, specifically dealing with relationships. Now I'm getting mostly romance, but it doesn't have to be. It could be family relationships, friendships, acquaintances, colleagues, but there's this energy of choice and relationships. Some of you, if you believe in the concept of twin flames, divine counterparts, soulmates, things of that nature, some of you may be on that journey. I feel like what you're going to need to develop, the type of energy coming through, like that, because I feel like the lovers has more been something that's been with you your whole life, that archetype. But I feel like what you need to work on is the strength. And I'm not saying that to imply that you don't have strength. You absolutely do. But I feel as though a lot of you some of you might be people pleasers. Some of you might be people that your confidence is really derived through validation. And I don't think this is something that's lost on you, pile four. I think a lot of you have actually been working on this for a long time. Oh, I want to see Scorpio just pop through too. Scorpio just popped through as well. I'm looking at the moon card and that came through pretty strong. So you might also have Scorpio placements as well. Okay, so a lot of you have been doing shadow work for a long time. It's kind of funny because, first of all, I want to say that you are very intuitive, pile four. You are not somebody that operates through logic. You are somebody that is very emotional and very intuitive, very passionate, very compassionate. And shadow work, or the concept of shadow work and trauma healing, is not lost on you. In fact, you may feel sometimes like you invented it. I feel like a lot of you are loners, aside from the fact that your life is really marked with decisions when it comes to relationships. I feel like you definitely need to pay attention to your dreams before you make any kind of major decisions. And for most of it, I feel like you're very aware of that already. The strength that I was talking about needs to be developed is you really need to stand up for yourself and learn to give back to yourself more. I feel this is especially the case with those of you that are those of you that are life path 2, and those of you who are Cancer and Gemini, especially Cancer. Those of you that have more Leo influence or more Virgo influence or even Scorpio influence, it may not be as much of the case. I feel like you guys might already do a pretty good job of having boundaries up and working with confidence and self-love. That doesn't mean you're confident. I feel like a lot of you are good at appearing confident and appearing like you have everything together, but I feel like deep down you guys really want to be acknowledged and validated. And that's the lesson. That's why this archetype is coming in, the strength card, because you really need to learn how to validate yourself more. It's confusing because your path is very much centered around relationships, and that can be hard to navigate, especially with the archetype of the moon there, because the moon has that very mystical, kind of foggy type energy, very unconscious, very latent, emotional. Now, there is a freedom that comes from expression, pile 4, learning who you are, and those of you that knowing who you are, feeling the freedom to express it. And that's really the energy of the Judgment card. And that's not something that I usually think of when I see the Judgment card. I do feel like you're the type of people that it's the planetary influences that you have. I feel like a lot of you might have Capricorn and Saturn, And I feel like when people do wrong to you, they get bitch slapped by karma, so to speak. I don't really like to use the word karma very often because I don't subscribe to it the way it's normally used. I look at it more as cause and effect. But with that Capricorn in Saturn, or Saturn in Capricorn energy that's coming through, and you don't have to have like Capricorn and Saturn, or Saturn and Capricorn, however you want to say it, but you just might, because I am getting this vibe that if people do you wrong, you don't even have to lift a finger. They're going to suffer and get it back, like in front of you. Like, I feel like you get to witness their downfall. So you've really learned to rely on or feel confident in the justice and judgment of God or the universe or gods or goddesses, or however you want to look at it. You really believe in the divine plan, the divine justice. You believe in the concept that everybody gets what's coming to them. And so you're not really the kind of person that does things that are not above board. And you're also very intuitive and sensitive, I think. So you wouldn't want to do anything that you feel would hurt someone else. And that's why, another reason why you really struggle with boundaries, for that reason. And you also know what it's like to be invalidated and to be looked over. And so you don't like to do that to others. So definitely, out of all of these archetypes which have been with you, definitely work toward embodying the strength card, because it's good that you understand that that divine justice reigns supreme in your path and in your life. That's good. But you need to also look out for yourself and really take it upon yourself to have clear established boundaries of your sovereign energy. So that's what I have for you guys, pile 4. I hope that it resonates. This is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest. If you like a private reading, definitely hit me up on my website. And if you are not already subscribed to my newsletter on my website, definitely do that, because you will get coupons toward my services on my website, and you'll also get updated with any new services, ebooks, courses, things of that nature. I also want to add that if you are not on Patreon, because I will be uploading this video on Patreon first before I upload it to YouTube, definitely check out Patreon, because I cover a lot having to do with protections, magic, different types of DNA activation, shadow and trauma healing, etc. So definitely check that out. Thanks for tuning in, pile 4. I am now moving on to the last pile, pile 5. Take care. Okay, those of you who chose pile 5 or the seashell, let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 5. So very interesting energies going on here. I mean, wow. It almost seems, I mean, in a way, I'm not saying that it's contrary, but it's just a lot of powerful archetypes that seem different from one another. But I wouldn't say contrary. That would not be the word to use. Now, I want to say that a lot of you might be life path 7, life path 1, 5, or 9. So those are the life paths that are coming through. You don't have to be those life path numbers. I'm also getting Aries energy. I'm getting Gemini, Cancer, Sagittarius, and for some reason, Pisces, even though I don't see a lot of water energy that's coming through, and Virgo. So you might have some of those placements in your big 5 or even your big 3, or a lot of those placements in your houses. Now, there is some duality going on here. And I'm seeing this even with the Chariot card, with the White Sphinx and the Black Sphinx. I'm seeing it with the High Priestess and the Emperor side by side. And I'm seeing it with the Hanged Man. So that was where I was getting a lot of the Gemini energy coming through. The archetypes that you're supposed to really be embodying are archetypes that are powerful and well-rounded. So you need to be developing your divine feminine archetype of the high priestess, of being able to hear from the divine, hear from your higher self, hear from your spiritual team, while simultaneously developing the emperor's prowess in the material world. And how you conduct yourself in the material world needs to be more like the masculine. So what I'm getting is that whether you are a man or a woman, your feminine energy needs to be more spiritual. So you need, the way that you seek your spiritual path at this time needs to be more geared toward the feminine energy, and maybe even doing goddess work. Maybe you're working with goddesses. You might even be standing in the title of high priest or high priestess, maybe channeling information or messages or doing readings, maybe dream walking or paying attention to your dreams. So this is a type of energy I'm getting. I'm also getting some of you might be drawn to work with Isis. I'm getting some of you might be drawn to work with Hecate. Some of you might feel drawn to work with Ishtar, Lilith, Mary Magdalene. These are some of the energies coming through. Some of you might feel drawn to travel at this time, or just like you want to make a fresh start because of that chariot energy as well. Now with the Emperor, I feel like this is the archetype. Like I'm getting that the Emperor and the High Priestess are the two that you really need to concentrate on developing right now. And so the Emperor is definitely that archetype of having material prowess and mastery over the material world. And it's a more masculine energy. Don't be afraid to take charge in your material life. Don't be afraid to start new projects. Don't be afraid to start a new business. Don't be afraid to move a great distance, to buy a new house. I'm getting this energy of be daring, but be daring in a way that is very logical and very mature, if that makes sense. This is a time to maybe get insurance. That just came through for somebody. So it's really the balance of these two archetypes of more of that maiden energy of the feminine, and then the fatherly emperor energy of the masculine. So these are the archetypes that I feel like are coming through for you right now that you need to focus on. In the past, there's been a lot of the chariot, and that could still be the case, especially if you're getting ready to move. One thing I really want to say too is the hanged man energy. Now, this is tricky. And I feel like there's going to be a few messages coming through with this. So this is something that you've dealt with off and on in your life. And I feel like for most of you, you're not really sure how to deal with it. And I think it's interesting that it showed up in reverse too. So some of you may have a tendency to play the martyr, because when things don't go your way or you feel suspended, like you feel blocked. And the reason for this is that I feel like a lot of you are really driven, and you're really self-driven, and you're really self-willed. I mean, you do already have these archetypes that popped up within you. It's just that these are the ones that you're supposed to, these are those that you're supposed to concentrate on right now. But they're really archetypes that you have prominent within you all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. And this is just a time where you're supposed to focus on this. But there is a tendency to be the martyr and want things to be miraculously cleared for you. It's kind of the energy I'm getting. It's almost this attitude of entitlement for some of you where you're like, well, I put in all this work. I did A, B, and C. I did it all myself. So why hasn't this happened? Why do I have to wait on this? Why do I have this obstacle? And what I want to say is that you absolutely have put in a lot of work. You put in a lot of effort. you've definitely done it on your own for the most part, for most of you. And I'm not saying like, I mean, no man or woman is an island. So I'm not saying like that, you know, there aren't people that have helped you along the way, but for the most part, you've been pretty independent. And I feel like the shadow side of that is that you'll kind of be like, well, if no one else is gonna do it, I gotta do it, or you know, I had to do it all myself because I know no one else will do it and no one's ever there to help me. And then sometimes you feel victimized by the universe itself. I'm almost getting this energy of some of you may not believe in divine justice or any kind of larger plan. Like you really believe you make your own life and your own fate, which is awesome. And I think that that's definitely a very powerful aspect of who you are. But the problem is that you're so dependent on that when things don't work out the way you want, it really messes with you. And it makes you kind of feel like it's you versus the world. And you kind of just feel like you're just suspended helplessly, and there's nothing you can do but wait for things to change, and which makes you feel very very out of control, and it makes you feel really helpless, neither of which you really want to feel. It's not something that you're comfortable feeling. Not that anyone's comfortably feeling that, but that especially you pile by, because you guys are not the kind of people that really likes to ask for help. So with the hangman coming in, there's a few lessons I feel are coming in with this archetype that you want to focus on. One is don't succumb to the martyr attitude or becoming the martyr, because you have to understand that with that responsibility of turning our own wheel or our own chariot comes the part of it that is unpleasant, which is when we're the ones driving the chariot. If the wheel falls off and we crash, that's us doing that, right? We're the ones that crashed. So on one hand, you can on one hand be like, well, I'm doing it all myself because no one helps me. I don't, God doesn't help me, universe doesn't help me. But then when things don't go right with that plan, all of a sudden you're feeling sorry for yourself and pouting. You have to be able to learn to be like, okay, things didn't go the way I planned. I did the best I could. And now I need to plan for my next move. Now, and also you need to learn how to wait when it's time to wait. But I wanted to bring up the martyrdom thing because this was in reverse. So had the hanged man turn up right side up, I would have said, okay, you're somebody that has learned to have to be patient and to learn to have to be in suspension certain times, that we can't always move forward. But I feel like that's a lesson that you guys haven't integrated yet. But once you do, then that archetype will no longer be the shadow archetype. It'll correct itself. And then you'll be like, okay, I know when to drive the chariot, but I also know when to chill. I know when to be masculine and build and be ambitious. And I know when to, sit back and go more into the spiritual dimensions of myself and focus on that. And I know when to be active and when to be passive. And so that's really the lesson. And it's also okay to depend on others from time to time. It's really all four of these archetypes that are prominent and that are coming forward, but also I feel like they're really archetypes that have been with you your whole life, but it's kind of coming to the forefront. Like, hey, look at this. So I hope that this reading resonated with you. I know it's a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest. Definitely, if you want a private reading, hit me up on my website. You can book there. Also, if you join my newsletter, you can get coupons for those services on my website, and you can stay up to date on any ebooks, courses, or new services coming out. So definitely do that. And if you are not currently on Patreon, because I will be uploading this video on Patreon before I upload it to YouTube, definitely check it out. There are several different Patreon tiers, different prices, focused on different things. There's a tier for everybody. You can work on DNA activation, shadow and trauma healing, magic, protections, things of that nature, definitely check it out. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Pile 5. Until next time, take care. Check out my website, thetantricdragoness.com, to book a private akashic reading or any other reading. Also, akashic portraits, consultations, shamanic journeys, starseed charts, primordial dragon fire healing, and much more. You can also subscribe to Patreon to learn how to do a lot of this yourself through various templates I've designed. Activate Diamond Consciousness, Activate the Black Flame, Journey the Underworld, Tantric Healing and BDSM, Astral Projection and Power, Shields, Cloaks, Wards, Learning Light Language, Exclusive and Premier Readings, Soul Fragment Retrieval, Advanced Ancestral Work, Creating Your Own Shamanic Sanctuary, and much more. Thanks for your support, and stay tuned for future videos.